Hello, and welcome to the Editor-in-Chief training lecture. We're going to use the instructions as an agenda, and we'll have Madeline give some insights from her semester. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask. I'm going to share my screen. So the instruction sheet here is, as you know, a living document. So as systems change, please, you'll update this document. It's also the place you go to answer any questions and get links to documents. As the editor-in-chief, you're going to have a lot of documents to juggle. And so this is the warehouse for them. I will start with the purpose. So the main roles are student engagement, team building. We do that through a weekly newsletter, coordinating the production of these lecture videos, and recruiting. So really such important tasks that keep the behind the scenes of the magazine running. And as we become more digital, we have a note here. And especially with COVID, we do have trouble getting folks to engage face to face. We'll see how that acts in spring. And Madeline can tell you a little bit about what she did to get engagement going when we talk about mentoring. So we have a table of contents here, and you can also click on the left-hand side of the sheet. This task list looks long, but it's it's manageable. You're doing number one right now, which is meet with the outgoing editor-in-chief. And you've seen the newsletters, of course, every Wednesday, those get drafted in the Gmail. We also curate a Spotify playlist, which is a lot of fun, plan mentoring opportunities, coordinate class announcements about recruiting, communicate with ASU advisors and professors when we're doing that recruiting, announce all flagship and recruitment opportunities through the Barrett Honors Digest, and plan online launch details for the new issue, which will be around May 1st. Prepare remarks for the launch party, coordinate and schedule these lecture tapings. And then you'll meet and mentor the incoming editor-in-chief who will work on issue 30 next fall. You'll update tasks in the workflow spreadsheet, compose a status report, and always come back to this instruction sheet and make sure it's doing well. Madeline, you have some daily, weekly, monthly here. Do you want to talk to us about that?
Yeah, so I just separated some tasks into the daily, weekly, and monthly sections, and these will really change depending on what your priorities for the semester are. So I put a little note down at the bottom, like the monthly tasks. If you set a goal to host like one social per month, of course, those will change depending on what your plans are. But as for the daily, I just had checked the emails. It's good to stay on top of the emails in the SR account. So just taking a look at there, seeing if there's anything in your inbox. And then weekly, a couple of things, posting to the Spotify Jams discussion board, which is where all the other interns and trainees can post their songs for the week. And then also updating the Spotify playlists, adding the songs for the people who can't add using the collaborative link. And then the newsletter is every week, turning in your status report every week, and then just updating this, updating the workflow spreadsheet, which is another document, and then also this instructions sheet.
Great, thanks so much. Once this video is completed, I will post it here. I'll also email it to you, and I'll email you these instructions, so I think you have them already. Next, the bookmark folder for this task or for this role is kind of robust. And I'm going to walk you through these 8 things. First, we have this sheet. You're familiar with the intern workflow. I wanted to show you how I've laid it out for spring. I do have 4 returning interns. I'll fill in the rest of them in a little bit. what I did was I created a new document just so that it's clear that it's up to you to make your decisions about what you want to do weekly. If you wanted to come in and copy this and paste it, that's fine with me. I don't mind how you fill in the task sheet, but here is where you're going to communicate with me about what you're doing each week. Next is the Google Calendar, and this has lots of great information. We have several calendars on here. We have a guest lecture calendar, intern meetings, which is where I put all of my meetings, social media, socials, editorial timeline, and interview timeline. We also have the ASU student academic calendar and Canvas due dates here as well. So this is a great way to keep your keep in mind everything that's going on. And it's I think it's crucial for understanding really the what you need to do. Madeline, can you talk a little bit about why this is so important?
Yeah, so Google Calendar is really great because you can make events and then invite people to them so that they can RSVP. So that's a really big tool that we use. And so it's something that you have to set up at the beginning of the semester, like share with the interns and trainees how specifically they RSVP, and then remind them to do that for future events as well. So that's something that we made like a video lecture for this semester, so you can brainstorm different ways to help the interns and trainees out with that next semester. So basically anytime you're making an event, so for the guest lectures, like I would invite all of the interns, trainees, and then also our faculty advisors. And then for intern meetings, right, you just invite the couple of people who are part of it, and then they get an email notification. So it's great.
Great. Also, you'll want the SRG mail, and a lot of people use this, so we'll talk a little bit about protocol for it, but you'll have your own folder here. You can see that we have correspondence in that folder that has gone on. I think it's also helpful for you to look at that correspondence as well to get an idea for the tone that we promote for professional emails, and also to get an idea of like how many emails you're kind of sending in a session. Another thing that you'll have open is the recruiting spreadsheet. And here we have some instructions on how to recruit trainees. I have a tab for class visits, although I think actually Can did a class visit because she happened to, yeah, be on campus. Thank you for doing that when Tara Eisen was available. We also have a list of advisors, so we email them, and we have professors on West, Polytechnic, Tempe, and downtown. And Madeline, do you want to talk a little bit about these lists?
Yeah, so I went ahead and updated these lists this semester. There were a lot of people who weren't working here anymore, and then there were a lot of new people, of course. So I did my best to just update everything completely. So when you're sending out the announcement request emails, there's a template in the instruction sheet, but you can just copy and paste all of these emails and use these as a list for who to send out to. And then regarding the class visits, that's something that we didn't really do that isn't something that I coordinated this semester, but they're the best way to get people. So that's something that you might consider doing next semester, coordinating more with the interns and trainees.
Mhm. Also, with recruiting, if you have any other ideas for recruiting, we could do that too. We do have materials to set up a table if we wanted to set up a table in Ross Blakely or even on Polytechnic. So that's always a possibility as well. The next thing you're going to have is the newsletter document, and I made one for you here. I just copied Madeline's, which only went to week 10. So you're on your own for the last, whatever it is, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. But you do have samples of all of the past ones in the instruction sheet. Next is the mentoring document, and this is going to show all of the intern roles. I haven't assigned the mentees yet because we're having some fluctuation in that class. So we do have 12 interns for spring, and we so far have 10 trainees. So I'll be matching those people together I usually do it based on their majors. So also this lecture video, this allows you to program the lecture taping. And so that'll take place the last couple weeks of April. And then finally, the launch party program for issue 29. This is a new document, but I left everything here just so you have a look at it. And this includes not only the flyer that you'll build, but also the statements from the editor-in-chief, me, and section editors. So lots of documents. Madeline, do you want to talk a little bit about how you managed all of your documents? Because it is a lot.
Just as far as the different documents, coming back to this instruction sheet for the instructions surrounding them, I found very helpful because I have a browser just for SR stuff. So I had my bookmarks all set out, but even when, I wasn't sure exactly what I was looking at in the recruiting document, or recruiting spreadsheet, I could just go on here and look for a bit more information. So really looking deep into the instructions will be a big help to you.
Mm-hmm, right. And the instructions are long as well. I think we're hitting 20 pages. So it's good reading. Pour yourself a cup of tea and just study it. So on to Gmail and Google Calendar. This is a description of how you're going to want to use the Gmail account. And then we have some screenshots here about how to create meetings in Google Calendar. I will be setting up lists for our, you can see we did F21 trainees, so it'll be S22 for you. But you'll very easily be able to add guests just by typing in S22 trainees and interns. So that way you don't have to type in all of their email addresses. Madeline, any tips or tricks about Google Calendar?
I don't think so. I tried to put screenshots of everything I thought would be helpful there, but if you have any other questions, of course, you can always ask either of us. But it only took a little bit of time for me to get used to because this was really my first semester using it to this level. Extent, yeah.
Okay, great. So next on the instructions is the student newsletter. You're going to draft this in the Gmail. And then what happens is I review it in the Gmail, make any little edits. If I need any changes, I'll reach out. And then I send it from the Gmail, but I also paste it into the announcements. And I send that on Thursday when I grade. So, Madeline, do you have any advice?
Yeah, so for the newsletter, like it says on here, one thing that could be helpful is just copy and pasting elements either from the previous week's newsletter or looking at the past semester's newsletter to see what they were talking about in week 12 or whatever. Just keeping updated with your workflow to make sure that you're announcing things at the appropriate time and staying on top of all your deadlines there. And then keeping a positive attitude and tone in the newsletter is really great. Um, then we always use some fun quotes and photos. There's a link there to help you find some photos. And I think those are all of my tips. So looking at the past student editor-in-chief newsletters was very helpful. I took a look at Spencer's, Kelsey's, and Aaron's at the beginning just to kind of get some inspiration.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, and you can start working on that whenever you like, because that document is there ready for you. And then we have mentoring. So in this semester, we changed that because I didn't want it to be graded, and I wanted it to be a little bit more organic. And so you'll be in charge of creating activities or opportunities, we could call it, for the mentoring. I had the thought today that it might be nice. I am doing 7 meetings with all of the interns in spring, starting with the first week of class. So what I was thinking might be a fun opportunity in either January or February is to have each mentor invite their mentee to the meeting. And that way we can meet them, but they could also see that we're really doing work. But we've also done a mentoring scavenger hunt, a photo contest. And then this semester or this month we have book in a bag. So Madeline, do you want to talk a little bit more about mentoring?
Yeah, so it was a little bit difficult this semester, honestly, to plan events with a specific time for everybody to meet. So a lot of the mentorship activities ended up just being with the pairs, which is okay. And so because like I have in the ideas section, one of the original ideas that I'd had was like a social where the pairs have time to get together. So if you want to try to plan more events like that in the future, you could go for that. But what ended up working out best was were events that were just very flexible this semester. So like the first month we had the scavenger hunt where the interns and trainees or the mentors and mentees could meet whenever they wanted in person or virtually to talk about all of these questions, get to know each other. And then the photo contest, again, very flexible. They could meet and do that whenever they wanted. And then this month, I planned this volunteer activity because it was, again, difficult to plan a volunteer activity with everybody. So planning that volunteer event as something more flexible that people could do in pairs is what has worked out best for this semester. So that's what we ended up doing. So feeding 2 birds with 1 seed, right? Getting to do some volunteering and promoting the mentorship activities.
Right. And I like your positive twist on that adage.
Yep.
That's a good one to know. Okay. So speaking of socials, there's lots of ideas here, as well as volunteer opportunity ideas, really good lists. And we'll talk a lot about this as the semester goes along as well. So I think Madeline covered this also. So we'll move on to talking about guest lectures. Now, this is something that kind of came up as a new idea. We hadn't done it before. And the thought behind it was that we could get experts to talk to trainees to enhance that training program. And so Madeline did an amazing job, and it was a lot of work. So one thing that I would say is I'm not sure. Let me ask you, Madeline, do you think this is something that's sustainable that we should continue to do?
I think that you should set a goal at the beginning of the semester. I think that doing 1 guest lecture for every week was a little bit of a lofty goal, and we didn't end up making that, and that's totally okay because I think that we knew at the beginning that that's 14 guest speakers is a lot, so that's okay if we don't do 14. But if you want to plan out things depending on the semester's schedule, times that you know are going to be busier for interns and trainees, I think just kind of planning out at the beginning when and how many guest lectures you'd like to host, and then planning based on there. I think that it's sustainable if you have a realistic goal in the first place, definitely.
Great. Yeah, I agree with you. And the truth is too, that we have filled in some of these, and the guest speakers are listed here on, this is the intern workflow. So you can see who we had lined up and who spoke. So we had Kelsey Simmons, Rachel, Bernadette, Martha, James, and career services are the ones that took place. So we really, I can still have those embedded in the lessons for English 394. And honestly, moving forward, maybe something we could do is plan, half of them in fall and half of them in spring, and just reuse the ones that were taped prior. So we'll work on that together and see what is sustainable. I know that you have a crazy semester, so I don't want to I don't want to overload you too much. And honestly, Madeline did just such an amazing job. And I'm so glad that you accomplished what you did, because I think that on a resume, on LinkedIn, and in a job interview, what a wonderful thing to talk about. It shows so much leadership, initiative, and creativity.
Thank you. Yeah, it was definitely difficult and outside of my comfort zone, but I'm really glad that we did that. So it turned out very well.
Yes, yes. And then you have the legacy of those videos as well. Okay, so moving on to Spotify. So this was kind of a fun thing that Erin and I came up with back a couple semesters ago, creating a Spotify playlist. So here are the instructions for doing that. Anything tricky that we need to know about?
I started a Spotify account for Superstition Review this semester because originally we were working off of Erin's account, but I just went ahead and made a new account for us so that it didn't, I don't know, there wouldn't be any overlap or complication in the future. And that way we could add as many playlists as we wanted. So there's currently a playlist for all of the SR songs. So it's a combination of all the playlists, and then one playlist per semester. So all of the instructions are on here. There's a lot. Erin also filmed a video tutorial that's super helpful. So maybe looking at the video first and then reading through all the other instructions. And then if you have any other questions, you could just let me know.
Right. So on to recruiting, and there's a lot of text here. And so it's part of the job that is probably has the most moving parts and is also most time dependent, because our goal is to start recruiting 3 weeks ahead of registration, because I need to be able to give the trainees an override into 394. And so they need to be able to register for that class. So I need to get to them kind of while they're making their decisions about their course schedule. So we'll start probably February 1st, beginning of February, to get these ideas going. We have email instructions, email templates. We have a presentation script, and we also have instructions for how to add information to the Barrett newsletter. And this is something that we'll work on together when we have our meetings. Madeline, tips and tricks.
All right, so for recruiting, again, there's just a lot of information here. So I tried to organize it a little bit better. So, or yeah, just improve the organization. so that there wasn't too much overlap between all these different templates. So each separate template should stand on its own. And there is a list closer to the beginning about who you're going to be emailing. So don't forget to email all those people, and everybody has their own template. There are spaces within each template where you need to insert information. So of course, don't forget to do that. And then if you would like to look at the old emails from previous semesters, you can just look in the SR Gmail for that as well and just search the subject line of that,
Yeah.
which is like, please announce internship opportunity. I believe.
There we go.
Yeah. So something like that.
Great.
So you can see on there as well how it plays out. And then this semester, I also made the video, the recruiting video. So you can use that link that in the emails as well.
Excellent. Okay, so we have about 3 minutes left. So lecture taping. Your job will also be to coordinate these videos. And so the first step is to remind people of making these times in the newsletter, and then you're going to find intern availability and schedule the lecture videos in this spreadsheet. So you'll find a date and time when the outgoing intern and the incoming intern can meet, and then I approve the time. And I'll usually give you, like, I think I gave you 8 days this time that I was available. So you want to talk a little bit about how that went?
Yeah, so this semester I used When to Meet as our time coordination tool, but there are some others too. And there are others, like we've used different ones in the past. So I just wasn't familiar with how to use the other ones, and I like When to Meet, but whichever works. So you can use those tools to see what times everybody's available and coordinate everybody's free times. And people just needed a lot of reminders this semester, I think. I mean, not too many, but the first time it went out in the newsletter, only about half of the people did it. So then I started it a little bit earlier so that there could be 2 newsletters with the reminder. And then after that, people who still hadn't given their times, I just reached out to individually. So honestly, it went very smoothly this semester. So I'm glad that all of the times worked out and everything, but just being on top of that and getting it all set up before the week of the meeting starts will be helpful.
Yeah. And so I have 2 more to tape, and I need to tell you that they've all gone very smoothly.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
really good to hear. I was going
So
to
you did
ask.
a great job.
Thank you.
And finally, you're going to prepare for the online launch party. You'll create the graphic for it. We'll create a Facebook event. Just be in touch with the social media managers, and we'll create a Zoom room for it. I started the launch party program for issue 29 already. So you'll make a statement here. We'll have you type in your statement here, and I'm happy to work through it with you. In fact, I'd love to look at a draft and add comments or give you feedback. You'll want to recruit a speaker, and sometimes this comes out organically through, for instance, this semester we're featuring one of our contributors, which I really love. I really love that as a I don't know, as a gesture, but also as it's kind of an exciting way to announce the issue. And you'll send a launch email to literary partners. And anything else on the launch party that we need to discuss, Madeline?
I don't believe so.
That does it.
We'll see how it goes this year. Yeah, I think I think that was everything. Mhm.
Okay, I'm gonna stop recording now.